What's up, guys? Everybody's smiling today. She rocking the hat. I like it. I almost wore a hat this morning.
I
Didn't
did
go
a
with the
big
shirt,
I did a big chop, so I'm gonna be wearing a hat for a little while.
though. Not happy with the cut or what?
I
No?
basically had to start over so it could just start growing evenly.
Gotcha. All right. All right. Everybody have a good weekend? Anything interesting?
Um, I went to the Panther game and they actually won.
They did. They actually dominated. They
It
were
was
Tampa was
a
lucky
good
to
game.
score 3 points yesterday. Very, very interesting. I think the defense was very inspired by not entertaining any trades from them. I think it's pretty smart. Got another one jumping in. Another one. Got Miss Karen joining us this morning. All right. Hey, Kaylin, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good.
All right. All right. Well, if more people join, I would try to let them in. It's hard to see sometimes, but so this week it's module 4. It's the sales cycle. So we'll roll through this one pretty quick this morning. But let me share my screen. Just there we go. So just real quick before we dive into that, module 4, thought I'd show you guys kind of a real world example. Can everyone see my screen right now? I've got the MLS pulled up. So I had a client text me first thing this morning saying that she wants to go see this house as soon as this meeting's over, right? So this client is an FHA client. Can anyone be a little pop quiz? Can anyone take a look at this and tell me something that I should be concerned about, or not be concerned about, but before I schedule this showing, what I should do? I have an FHA client. This is a, go ahead.
This is Karen.
Hey,
First blush, it doesn't talk about the type of financing that they want. And so I would most likely call the listing agent and just make sure that they accept FHA, because I don't want to get my clients' hopes up.
so at 7:45 this morning, I text this agent, Sherry, on her number right here. And I said, hey, good morning. Sorry to bug you so early. Quick question. You're listing on Highway 10. Do you think it would go FHA? Because right here under proposed financing, if you guys haven't seen this before, where my cursor is, normally this is where it will say cash, conventional, FHA, VA, USDA. It doesn't have anything, right? So I'm assuming, because it doesn't even have cash or conventional, that they just forgot to fill this out, right? But you know, mobile homes can definitely go at FHA, and I've sold a lot of those FHA, but sometimes when people don't put that on there, there's a reason that they feel like it won't take that. So so yeah, I'm gonna wait till it comes back. What's something else from looking at this that might be a reason I might not be able to see it this morning, just from looking what I have on the screen right here? Somebody's got to see it. All right. So occupant type, right? If this is owner occupant, usually fairly easy to get a showing. If this was vacant, obviously, you know, I click schedule a showing, it's automatically approved, right? With the tenant, you know, a lot of times you've got to give them a little bit more notice, right? So when you guys have a buyer client, you guys are going to schedule 4 or 5 showings. You know, I like to schedule mine, and Karen, maybe you do yours different, but I try to schedule mine every 30 minutes, right? Especially if they're in the same area. Like I like to keep them tight, like, you know, 10, 15 minutes in the house, 10 to 15 minutes driving, like boom, boom, boom. But when you're scheduling those, you have to schedule them knowing which ones are going to get approved. So usually if I have one that's going to be, you know, tenant or harder to get accepted, I'm going to schedule that one for first or last. That way I can, you know, everything else be close together. So has everyone seen how showing time works? Probably not. Let's just go ahead and schedule. Let's just assume that they're going to come back and say, yes, we can do FHA. Look at this gorgeous picture right here. Good Lord. That's good. All right. So I'm going to click on schedule single showing. We're going to click right here. Okay. So this one's fairly, all right. So you can see on this one, because it is a tenant, it looks like they have after 7 o'clock every day that no showings, which isn't too uncommon. And then it looks like this one has a decent amount of showings today, or they have this blocked off maybe for lunchtime. I'm not sure. Put a few more jump in here. So I'm going to schedule this one. Let's just say 12 o'clock. That's probably, yeah. So it's all grayed out actually. So yeah, this one's basically asking for a 24-hour notice, right? You see it's grayed out through here. The earliest I would even be able to schedule this would be for tomorrow. If this was any other house, this wouldn't be grayed out. So yeah, so the tenant stuff is can be a little bit harder, but hopefully this person will reach back out and we can schedule this showing for hopefully tomorrow. But other than that, I have no reason from looking at these pictures to think that this house would not go FHA. It's 2002. It's in good condition. So kind of off the subject today, but I thought that'd be useful for you guys to kind of see some real world stuff that's going on. All right, rev up. Everyone can see the rev up screen now.
Hey, Brian, this is Karen. I have a question regarding the property you were just viewing.
Don't try to steal my client.
No, I'm not.
That's good.
Question in regards to the photos.
Mhm.
How recent must those photos be for the listing agent to utilize them? Can we assume that they are absolutely current, or could they have been using photos from, say, a prior listing, or maybe their original listing that they had when they first put the property on the market? How do we know for fact that those are current photos?
You know, the only way we know before is if I ask the agent. If I had a conversation with her, I'm always going to assume, because, you know, you sign a certificate when you put up a listing, you sign a certification that, you know, the pictures are new, that you're allowed to use them, and that they're yours. I'm assuming that they are. If I get out there and they're different, then I would definitely call the agent and ask. But I would assume by these pictures. But again, you know, if there's a tenant in it, this was probably before the tenant, I would assume. Right. So if the tenant's been in there for 6 years, this, you know, to your point, these might have been pictures they took right before they allowed a tenant in. And maybe this tenant's been in there for 6 months. Maybe they've been in there for 6 years. I don't know. But tenants don't always allow for pictures or allow for pictures when the house is clean. Good question. I don't know for certain. And unless they would say it in here, I mean, sometimes you'll see stuff in here. These pictures were from before. I can maybe look in the attachments and see the property disclosures and see. No, I mean, I've got everything filled out. There's just nothing wrong with the house. For those of you who haven't seen property disclosures, here's the first look at that. So going through a lot of stuff today, right? A lot of times on a home with a tenant, you know, because the owner hasn't been in the house in maybe months or years, a lot of times you'll see no representation clicked all the way down this right-hand side. So they have no on a lot of stuff, which tells me that they probably know about the house and they've been in the house. So those are some things that I would check to see. But yeah, it's kind of hard to tell till you get in there. And obviously if we got more serious about it, then I would have a conversation with the agent.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, good question. All right. the sales cycle. This is a fun one. So we're gonna go over the 7 steps in the sales cycle, objection handling. Communication is obviously key. We'll kind of roll through those. Can everyone see this? The daily affirmation. I love to set appointments and I love to make presentations. So on the count of 3, we're gonna say this out loud together. So unmute yourselves. I know it seems corny, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it today, guys. I don't normally make you do affirmations, but I think this one is super important. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. I love to set appointments
Set appointments.
and I love to make presentations. Man, you guys should be saying that to yourselves every single day. Super important. So the 7 steps in the sales cycle, and you'll see that it's starting at the bottom. You definitely have to be patient when it comes to the sales cycle. Picture this sales cycle starting at 1, going all the way up to 7 as a ladder, right? As the sales cycle is kind of like a ladder, and you're not going to just take one giant step and take your prospective client to become a client and to the finish line, right? You have to really walk them through the whole process. And that's something for a lot of new agents is hard, right? I mean, you get your license, you think you're just going to go do real estate, but it's a process, right? You've got to prospect for the leads. You've got to get the appointment. You got to get the listing or get the buyer, and then you've got to get them through escrow and get them through close. So it is quite the process, and we'll walk through that today. Has anyone started prospecting for leads yet? Hand raise. Okay. Any success yet? That's okay.
A lot of people want to wait until next spring.
There's always going to be some excuse, right? You're always going to have, somebody that's going to have some kind of excuse. What's your answer to that?
Well, I let them know that we can look now, and that depending on if they're in a lease right now, if they're renting, if they're in a lease, and we can ask for a seller concession to offset, breaking your lease. Even, if they're looking, if they want to buy a new home, brand new home, some of the builders are giving good concessions. So I encourage them not to pass up an opportunity. So I look for people, the people that I'm working with, I'm softly looking for them. If something, wows them, maybe they'll be tempted. But the really good ones do go quick.
Definitely. Everyone's going to have some kind of excuse, understand that a lot of people are just scared to go through the process. And no matter what the market is, they're going to say, I'm going to wait till next spring. Right. All I know as a successful real estate agent is, and someone that cannot predict the future. I know right now is a good time to buy, because from my understanding, rates might go higher. Right. I also know that right now is a good time to sell, because things are starting to slow down. Right. So I don't know, if you don't sell now, how much it's going to cost you by waiting till next spring. And by you not buying right now, home values are still increasing, even though they're not going up as fast as they did 2 years ago, right? So all I know right now, it is a good time to buy and sell, right? You waiting may or may not hurt you, but I've had people that I tried to list their house back in February that I'm selling their house now, and I'm selling it for 40 or 50,000 less than what they could have made just a few months ago. When they, everyone thinks they're an expert in the market. This is your job. You guys have to lead them in the right direction, right? So if you're not giving them any information, they're just saying, hey, I'm gonna wait till next year. All right, why? Well, what if this happens, right? You have to educate them on why they're giving you objections. But yeah, you raise your hand for this. How have you been prospecting?
I've been going door knocking, and actually I was door knocking around my neighborhood, and I saw one of my friend's aunt, and I actually have like an appointment with her tomorrow to see if like her credit score is fine and for her to meet like a mortgage lender to see if she's actually like capable of buying a house. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's very
But
good.
we-
So, potential buyer from door knocking.
Yeah, it was actually crazy because I mean I knew her, but I was walking around just kind of door knocking, and she drove by and she was like, "What are you doing?" And
Get off my front steps, but also I might want to buy a house. So yeah, I mean that's fantastic. Yeah, we just talked about door knocking last week or the week before, and here, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a very, very viable way of doing business. And yeah, I mean, if you live in the area, you probably know people, and that's a great way to run into people. And whether she ends up buying now or buying 6 months from now, that's a great client. So yeah, I would obviously. Do you have a mortgage person in mind? Do you need?
Well, you're not
You-
alone now.
I know, but you've been there. The pillows are gonna be in
Yeah, but that should have gone flat.
She put it in there. I didn't put it in there. I'm gonna let her do what she wants to do. That ain't mine.
I think somebody might want to mute their mic.
yeah, I currently do have someone. I need someone that speaks Spanish, but
Okay.
I do have someone in mind.
Okay, well, if you need help on that, let me know. We can always point
Okay.
you in a different direction. But yeah, I mean, as soon as she's in a position where she's filling out an application, I'm gonna go ahead and send her. What are two things, Misha? What are you gonna send somebody after you talk to them about real estate? 2 forms. I think you're on mute right now.
I'm sorry, what was that?
So Mateo's got a potential buyer client. They're talking, and they're about to go through hopefully the financing process, the mortgage part. What paperwork would he be sending her?
Well, he would be the agency agreement first, wouldn't he?
Yeah, so I would send her the working with real estate agent, because you guys were talking about real estate, right? So really anyone that you have contact with, you should be having them, try to have them fill out that form, right? Hey, I'm a real estate agent. This is what we offer. This is what we do. And then, yeah, I would go ahead and send her the buyer agency agreement and say, hey, look, I'm going to set you up with my mortgage person. I just want to, let you know that I'm happy to be your agent. And this allows me to give you my full attention, right? When it comes to a buyer, I mean, there's really no reason that a buyer would ever not have an agent, right? Who pays the commission, right? Kaylin, who pays the commission?
The buyer,
The buyer pays the commissions for both sides or one side?
they pay for, no, the seller pays the commission for both sides.
Yeah, that is right. So as a buyer, it's almost silly to not use an agent, right? I mean, why would you not have a professional guide you through that process, right? So you should always, it doesn't cost you anything, right? So you should always have an agent. So you would say, I wouldn't hesitate at all. Say, yeah, let me get your email address. Go ahead and send her go in SkySlope today and enter her as a person that contact in there, and send her the working with real estate agents on the buyer side and the buyer agency agreement, and see if you can get her to sign it, right? You're helping her, you're guiding into the process if you haven't done that already. But that's a good first step, right? Getting a client signed as a client is a huge first step. So congrats, that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, so you did door knocking here, right? But it led to circle of influence, right?
Yeah.
So your circle of influence is going to be every brand new agent. That's going to be your easiest route to go, right? A lot of agents, your first couple of deals are going to be your circle of influence. So, and maybe you have to do it different ways. He had to door knock here to get the circle of influence. Maybe you have to go to social media to get a circle of influence, right? There's a lot of different ways to do it, but just make sure that you are starting that process. It kind of goes without saying that you have to prospect, but a lot of agents don't want to do it, and a lot of potential good agents don't end up doing real estate for more than a year or two because they don't get the clients. Like without clients, you don't have a business, right? So you have to figure out a way that's going to be successful for you. And maybe Mateo door knocks once a month, and every time he door knocks, he finds a new client. That'd be a great business, right? You know, maybe Karen does a lot of mailers and she works her farm, right? Maybe Lance does everything on the internet, buys internet leads. You know, everyone can do it differently, but you have to do it. So I think step one is by far the most important, because you guys have to prospect. You don't have a sales cycle if you don't have a sell, right? It's gotta begin somewhere. So make the appointments. So let me ask you this. I mean, since you just recently did this, how did you go from knocking on her door, you realized that you knew her, to taking that next step? I mean, did you just
I just knocked on her door. I told her I was a real estate agent, and if she's ever looking to move, because this wasn't like at her house. This was at my apartments. I was doing some neighborhoods, but this was at my apartments that I live at. And
Gotcha.
so yeah, I was asking. I was like, hey, when does your lease end? I mean, are you gonna try to move out? Do you want to find out, like, rent is going up here too? Like, me and my roommate, we renewed, but it obviously went up like $100 or a couple hundred. And so then
Right.
she was like, yeah, I'll be looking, I'll stay in touch. I was like, okay, have a great day. And then literally just last week on Friday, she called me in the morning, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be here this weekend, but this Tuesday, like, we can definitely get something going.
Nice? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like, you know, you're taking the right steps. You know, one thing I see with a lot of agents is, you know, you get potential leads and you're scared to ask for that next step. You know, you should always be asking every person that you talk to schedule time to sit down, right? If it's a listing, it's super easy, right? Super easy. I'm gonna come to your house, right? That's the only place that you made a listing at, is at their house, because you need to see their house to list their house, right? Buyers are a little bit different. So, you know, a lot of times you're, like this says right here, you're meeting at their office, meeting at our office. With buyers, a lot of times I meet them at coffee shops, right? Wherever is more convenient. I mean, if they live in Gastonia and they're going to be buying in Gastonia, I'm not going to ask them to come to the office at the Arboretum, right? I'm going to get my butt in the car and I'm driving to Gastonia, and I'm just going to Google the nearest coffee shop to their apartment, or I'll come to their apartment, or wherever it is. But asking for that next step is huge. You know, this is basically saying, like, you want to meet with people that are willing and ready, like, in the next 30 days, right? If it's somebody that's 30 days to 6 months, you know, keep them on that drip, stay in contact, but maybe meeting with them right now is not the best use of your time. And then C is saying more than 6 months, you know, you definitely don't want to meet with. I'll meet with anybody. If they have a pulse and they're going to buy or sell at some point, whether it's tomorrow or a year from now, I'm going to get in front of them. So I'm a little different on this, because, you know, just like Lance said, that he's meeting with some people that say they want to wait till next spring. What if I go out there and show them the cost of waiting 9 months on how much money they would be saving right now? And now they're like, well, maybe I should buy now, right? So I think getting in front of people and educating them is always going to be better. And worst case, you go out, you buy somebody coffee, and they're still not going to buy for 6 months, but at least you have that rapport, right? And even at that time, you can have them sign the buyer agency agreement and just do it for a year, right? That way you have them under contract and you keep up with them. So the more people you're getting to sign your paperwork, and the more people you're meeting with, the better you're going to be. So again, you can obviously follow this. Again, if I have a chance to get in front of somebody, you should always try to get in person. Make sure the steps in the buyer process are followed. But Dale's doing the right thing right now. Like, the first thing he's doing before he's going out and driving her to 20 different houses and spending, you know, time and gas money, let's see if you're qualified, right? I'll be honest, I've done it opposite before because I was just so anxious and assumed that they could buy, and I've shown them 10 houses and driven hours and hours, and then they've got a 460 credit score and they couldn't buy a pack of gum. And I've wasted all this time when I should have been doing the opposite, getting them pre-approved, and if not, having that lender put them on a credit repair program, right? So you're definitely doing the right steps so far. There is a buyer questionnaire, which I will send you guys after this. And then obviously that consultation is just finding out what they need and what their expectations are through the process. Loyalty commitment. Loyalty does definitely go in both directions. Commit to your professional standards for your business and real estate practices. Again, there's going to be buyers and sellers that are not up to my standards for sure. Like, I'm not going to let someone talk to me any kind of way. I'm not going to have somebody that's trying to mess with me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to have somebody disrespecting me or wasting my time. So, and in reverse, right? Like, they expect me to pick up my phone when they call. Like, so it goes both ways. So you want to make sure that you're in a unilateral relationship where you guys are both on the same page. But again, the loyalty comes in as well as if you're going to be spending all this time, he's sending her to his mortgage person, he's talking to her, she could be loyal to him by signing that buyer agency agreement, right? Kind of goes in both ways because he's already working towards her. What does it mean to meet your client's needs? Clarify their needs, thoroughly understand those needs, take action. Communication is huge. And there's going to be a lot of times, I think it's on the very next slide, that, once you have the buyer and you guys have found their dream home and you guys are under contract, then maybe every week you don't have an update. Maybe it's 45-day close, and week 2, 3, and 4, there's not a lot going on. You've already done inspections. There's no updates. You still have to communicate with them, right? You need to be reaching out to these people. If you're not talking to every one of your clients at least once a week, you're doing something wrong, right? And there's gonna be times where you just have one client, right? So that should be very easy. Hopefully you guys get very busy and you have oftentimes 3, 4, 5, 6 clients at a time, right? At one point in time, I had 13 in escrow at once, and that was a lot, right? I literally had to write down on a sheet of paper, and while I was driving in my car, every single week I would put a check beside them. I talked to this person, talked to this person, talked to this person. So I knew that I was talking to them. The biggest complaint from real estate agents is their agent never reached out to them, right? So as you are getting clients and talking to people, like, oh, well, I had an agent before and they never communicate with me, right? That's always the biggest negative. Yeah, this literally says this right here. Communicate, even if you have nothing to do. There's nothing new to report right now. I just wanted to reach out, let you know I'm still working for you, see if you have any questions, see if everything's good on your end, right? It doesn't hurt to call to somebody without any news. It looks good, right? Calls preferably. I mean, I'm a big texter, but when it comes to like a client that is signed and I'm working for, calls go a long way. Getting from contract to close. These are fun. I mean, getting someone under contract to getting them to the closing table. I'm sure Karen will tell you she's had some crazy stories. They don't all go smooth. They don't all go. Almost every single transaction is a little bit different, right? So educate your client that you're working with. You can roundabout let them know that you don't get paid until closing, but yeah, I mean that's listen. I don't get paid until you get paid or until you get the keys to the house, right? So let them know that you're not going to leave them, especially on the listing side. I feel like that's super important. A lot of agents will get the listing and then they never really reach out to that client again. Show them the steps. Talk to them about the process, right? We've got to get you approved for your loan. We've got to get you under contract. We got to drop off the due diligence check, the earnest money check. We got to do these inspections. Do you want to be at the inspections? We got the repair addendum, right? What are we going to ask for in repairs, right? Show them a roadmap of what's going to happen, and they will appreciate that. Communication is key, and you'll see that over and over again in these slides. But the best thing you can do in the sales cycle is just over communicate. Post-sale follow-up. Again, we talked about this, I think, last week or the week before, but like when it comes to referrals, referrals, as you guys do more business, right? A lot of your business will start coming from referrals. So as you guys get into year 3 and year 4 and year 5, every one of those clients can potentially give you a referral every year or every other year, right? So as you start growing, your prospecting can come down, right? So you don't have to door knock as much, Mateo. You don't have to call everyone in your neighborhood. You don't have to spend as much money on flyers and things like that, because you're going to have people that you've hopefully done a great job with giving you business, but they will never do that if you guys are not following up. Thank you gifts obviously go a long way. A lot of times I'll do a nice bottle of champagne. Obviously branded stuff is nice. Obviously doing stuff at the closing, at the attorney's office. I know you guys have seen this 100 times where you've got the sold key and they're taking a picture with them after they signed and posting that on social media. You'll get a reminder on Facebook a year later, right? You guys get always reminders on things that you did. Share that with them on that year, or reach out to them like, hey, remember 1 year ago, got you your house. Make sure that you're following up with these people. Ask them for feedback. Don't ask them to leave you a review if they're not going to give you 5 stars, but ask them for feedback. I mean, maybe those things that you thought you did awesome that you just weren't doing, so that you're better for the next client. And again, we talked about the CRM last week. Once your client has been closed, you can change them in the CRM to a lead to a closed client, and just make sure that you have a task set up to reach out to them on their birthday, on Christmas, and on your anniversary of the house being bought or sold. Getting I don't say free business, but getting business that just comes to you in this industry is so huge. Again, communication, again and again. Sales is a rapport business. I'm a rapport guy. That's my thing. I mean, when people think about me, I mean, I'm not a hard-nosed closer. I mean, I do my presentation well, I think. I do my comps pretty well, I think. But for me, it's the rapport, right? And people are typically choosing me because they like me and they want to work with me, right? So you want to make sure that you guys are spending a lot of time on the rapport portion of it. Yes, the old saying, 1 mouth, 2 ears, 2 eyes. I had an appointment on Thursday, and I literally listened to this guy talk for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. This guy took me into his pantry where his wife had pickled pickles and all this other stuff. And I listened to stuff that I did not care about at all, but I was into it. And he liked that I was interested in his stories. And I got bit by fire ants. He had me touch his electric fence. Like, it was just, we was out there. And he'd had so many other agents out there before. Him and his wife were also real estate agents. They retired real estate agents, right? He's like, I will never list my house. You can come take a look at it if you want. I went out there and built all this rapport with him. He's like, man, I'm gonna let you list my house. Right? After dozens of agents have been out there, after they're just gonna do for sale by owner on their own.
This is Karen.
Hey.
I've been only on a couple of listing appointments.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I have to say that I do that I want to kind of caution some of the new people with is we can get ourselves really worked up, wanting to make sure that we answer every question, that we have everything straightened out before we actually make that appointment. And my bit of advice would be yourself, be as prepared as you can be, and your best phrase, oh, I don't know that answer, but I will find out. and get back with you. And what that does, it allows them to see that you may not know everything, but you have a team of people that you're going to follow up with, which strengthens your comment. I have a team of people that will be helping me sell this property, to also giving you an excuse to call them back.
Yeah, no, that is good. I mean, that's, and again, listen, Kaylin, when you go to your first listing appointment, you are going to be just a ball of nerves. I promise you. Right? You're going to be up sleepless about the comps and the numbers. What did this guy ask me about the commissions? Oh my God, what am I going to do? At the end of the day, the more that you go out there and just have fun with these people and enjoy them and get to know them, everything else comes easy, right? If I would have just got there and be like, hey man, I'm 6%, I want to list your house for this much, and this is what I do, he would have kicked me out in 5 minutes, right? But I spent the time with this guy and built a rapport, and everything else was easy. Like we didn't even talk about commissions because he liked me so much. He just wanted to work with me, right? So yeah, I mean, like Karen said, I mean, you guys are going to be stressed out. You shouldn't be. The more fun that you have, the easier it is. And again, they're buying you because they're working with you, but you're getting Realty One Group that's selling your house, right? I mean, you look at the listing agreement. The listing agreement, they're not signing a listing agreement with Karen. They're signing a listing agreement with Realty One Group, right? So the company is on that listing. It's the company's listing. So when you guys take that, so obviously, if you don't have an answer to everything, and I tell my team that as well, like, call me from the appointment, right? If they ask you a question that you don't know, instead of trying to be a slick salesperson, but like try to make up and have an answer for everything, how powerful it is. You know what, Bob? I think I know the answer. Let me call just to make sure, and then get me on the phone. Get someone else on the phone and say, hey, like I think I know this, but he wanted to know if he could put a lockbox on the back door, and I don't know if we can do that. Right. And then we're going to give you the answer, and they're going to appreciate the fact that you went out of your way to get them the right answer. They're not going to doubt you because you didn't know the answer to everything. Yeah, it's impossible to know the answer to everything. So you guys are definitely not going to know that when you first go out there. Have somebody's number on standby and just say, hey, Brian or Diane or Angie or Vince or whoever it is, say, hey, like I'm about to walk into an appointment. Can you be on standby in case I have a question while I'm there? And yeah, absolutely. I'll walk you through it. I'll get on speakerphone with them and help you close it, So don't put all that pressure on yourself. All objections are fear-based. You guys are going to get a lot of objections as you go out there. And that's something that you guys will have to, you'll have to have them happen so you can learn to overcome them. But understand that most objections are not objections, right? They just want to see your response to them, right? So when somebody asks me what my commission is, and I say 6, but maybe we can negotiate that, right? What would that tell you, Lance? If that was my answer, and you're as a seller, and I answered that, what would your next thought be?
If the question, can you repeat the question one more time, please?
So if I'm trying to list your house and I'm at your house and you ask me, you're giving me objection the commission rate, and you say, what's your commission rate? And I said, well, it's 6%, but we might be able to negotiate that. Well, what would you think as a homeowner?
Well, we're going to
Sorry,
negotiate.
Laura.
Let's begin the negotiation, right? That's what you're going to think, right? So understand that every question is not an objection. Sometimes they just want to know the answer, right? So if I'm in Lance's house and we're talking, and he's like, "What's your commission?" Like 6%, and then we're going to go on to the next thing, right? And if he has an objection, he wants to keep prying into that, then we can talk about. But I'm not going to open myself up to that if he just has a general question, right? I've learned that with my wife. Every time she has a question, does not mean it's a fight. I'm going to answer it, and hopefully we're going to move on to the next subject. And sometimes it turns into a fight, but sometimes she just genuinely had a question. So yeah, every time somebody asks a question isn't bad. Or is it a real concern, right? If it's a real concern, then you need to address it, or you're not going to move on, right? I've got one client, a real concern for his. He closes this Friday. A real concern from his was he's about to have a surgery and he needs to stay in the house until December 31st. He needs a lease back, right? So Lance said earlier, this guy originally didn't want to sell his house till next spring. I said, hey, look, the market's already softening up. I showed him the comps where his same houses were selling for X amount. Now they're selling for this. I don't know what they'll sell for next year, but what if it's less? And he said, well, I can't sell my house. My concern is that I can't sell my house because I won't have anywhere to go to until January 1st. I said, well, what if I could sell your house and you can stay in your house until December 31st? He said, I didn't even know that was a possibility, right? So we sold his house. He closes on Friday and he's staying in for the next 2 months. Now, had I had this conversation with him over the phone and told, and tried to earn his business over the phone, he said, no, I can't sell till next year. I wouldn't have had to sell, right? But I asked him for an in-person appointment. I didn't give him any of this information over the phone and got out there. I built a rapport, and then we found out what his real concerns were, and I found a way around it, right? So it's a big part of what you guys are going to have to do is this an objection? Is this a real concern? And is there another solution that we can still help you sell or help you buy a house now, right? Mateo got the gun showing right now.
Yeah.
Flexing on him today. I like it. Validation. Again, it's going to take a lot of patience getting through the escrow process. Timing is everything. This kind of goes what I was just saying. Had I tried to give my client all the information over the phone, it wouldn't have worked. The guy the listing that I got last week that is a real estate agent. Had I tried to talk to him over the phone, he would have never let me come out, right? It was more like, hey, like I want to come out and see the house tomorrow. Is that cool with you? I'll be out there at 2 o'clock, right? A lot of times less is more, right? Once they get out there, the old saying, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. As stupid as that saying is, it is so true, right? Rapport is your best friend, I promise you. So, and before you start sending them information, hey, it's okay if I send you some houses that you want to look at, right? Do you want me to send you my mortgage agent that information, or get that permission before you just start going out of your way. The close. Yeah, this is one of those things that we could probably do a whole nother 12-hour training on closing and asking for the business. I mean, we could probably do this for a whole month. You guys are gonna have to learn to ask for the business, right? Like, Mateo, hopefully when you meet with your friend on Tuesday, like, hey, just want to let you know, I mean, I'm a real estate agent. Here's the form that shows I'm an agent. We're supposed to ask everyone to sign this. And this is also an agreement for you to know that you're working with me, right? Ask for the business, right? You can't lose something that you didn't have with, right? So you gotta ask for the business. A lot of agents are super shy when it comes to this part, and they'll show somebody houses for 3 months and then they end up going with another agent and buying a house the next day. I see it happen all the time. I've seen it happen to the clients on my team. And I said, well, why didn't you have an agreement signed? I just assumed that we were going to work together.
Hey,
Not
Brian,
going for it, right?
give us a
Yes.
couple of closing phrases at this point.
On the buying side, on the closing, or on the listing side, I mean, that there's literally it's really kind of endless possibilities. But in Mateo's situation, if he meets with her tomorrow on the buying side, once we talk about what type of houses she would like, I would have my computer out, show her some stuff in MLS. Like, is this like kind of your speed? Is this your price range, do you think? Here's my mortgage size information, maybe get this application filled out. And then I would just have the stuff pulled up in SkySlope ready to be signed, and just show her. It's like, this is what we're going to need to move forward with. And I would just ask her to time. I'm more of a assumptive closer, because I feel like by the time that I spent time with you, whether you're a buyer or a seller, by the time I finish my spill, like, you like me, you like the company, you feel like I can do the job, and you want to work with me. So I normally come with my paperwork pre-filled out, ready to go, ready to be signed. So I'm more of an assumptive closer when I do things. And that makes it not the most difficult for your clients to say no to, but it's, you know, when you're asking for the business and asking them to sign, they will either A, sign, or B, they have a legitimate objection, and they will tell you, right? I think you guys will find that doing it that way will get you guys the most business. Then, you know, Garen, if you go out there and meet with this potential buyer, and then you get done and say, all right, well, do you want to use me as your agent? You know, what do you want to do from here? You leave yourself up to a lot of options where they don't know what to say. They'd rather you just tell them to sign the paperwork. You know, you put them in a situation where, like, yeah, why don't you just email it to me, and I'll think about it tonight. I'm going to pray about it for the next 4 or 5 months, and then we'll reach out then, right? Versus you just saying, hey, like, I want to work with you. And normally what they'll say back to you is, yeah, I like you too, right? You ever try saying that to somebody? Like, hey, I like you. They're going to say that back to you normally, right? So just asking for the business, and it's going to be the best way. Learning and personality types. Look at this. Where do you think most of you guys sit on this? Formal, flow with, informal, relationship, structured. Lance, where do you think you fall on this diagram? I think you're on mute.
Historically,
Oh, go ahead.
By nature, I'm a structured analytical person. So I know I'd be somewhere.
Used to be somewhere probably here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Karen. I would follow that. I'm pretty structured, but I have learned to go with the flow, and not always be as structured as I am, because, you know, I try to make sure that I show that I'm fluid if need be, and I listen before I talk.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So 2 people have answered, 2 people have kind of said different answers. So that's good. Anyone else? Kaylin, where do you think you fall in here?
I'm definitely structured. It's hard.
Yeah?
It's really hard to be good with the flow, honestly.
I didn't expect that answer from you. Okay. Mateo, where do you think you fall at?
Kind of like where the formal and flow with is, like
Yeah,
right around there.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Misha, what about you?
I would say between structured and formal.
Over here. Okay, we got a lot of people on the upper side. I think I'm more over here, to be honest. I'm more of like, you know, informal and go with the flow. I'm very structured when it comes to my leads and my time blocking and trying to get appointments, right? You have to be very structured with that. But as far as everything else goes, I mean, I gotta be honest, I had no plans on going to Hickory today. And when I got that message from my client this morning, 7:30, say, hey, can you show me this house? Right? Go with the flow, change up my whole day. Boom, we're gonna get off of here, and I'm gonna go show some houses in Hickory. And the informal part of it is yeah, I mean, I'm professional and show up, my car is clean. Like, I look, you know, I'm not overly dressed, but I'm, you know, business casual, but I'm fairly informal with my people, and I'm a relation, again, like I mentioned before, I'm a rapport person, a relationship person. And that's a big part of what we do is form relationships. I mean, you'll find that people want to work with you because they like you, right? And the more a person is like, I would have a beer with you on a Saturday, that type of person will work with you more often than not, right? And whether it's beer or whether they want to go to the gym with you or go to church with you, whatever it is. I mean, that doesn't have to be about alcohol, but whatever, you know, the relationship side of it is huge. The structure side, I wish I was more structured. I wish I was more formal, to be honest with you. So I mean, these are things that I think I lack. And the majority of you guys are strong over here. So that's very good. You will have to learn to go with the flow a little bit though, because things in real estate, my God, they change quick. They change very, very quick. Yeah, so this is kind of what it says about that. This person is, we got a couple controllers on here, got some analyzers, the thinkers. I'm more down here, the promoter and supporter. So yeah, I think both of those kind of describe me fairly well. Maybe a too social at times, my wife would say. But yeah. We're not going to go through all of these. This is a very visual person. These are some of the traits of a very visual person. Different traits of just different people, but again, the sales cycle is something that you guys will really want to focus on. And again, what's the most important part of the sales cycle, Misha?
Well, getting them to go under contract.
Maybe, but you can't get someone under contract if you don't have a client, right?
Well, yeah, well, getting the client first.
Yeah. So again, listen, all 7 steps are super important, but if you're not doing number 1, you're not going to have any clients, right? So and again, this is just my opinion, but number 1 and number 2 are the most important, because you have to have clients, or I don't care how much you guys love architecture or houses or interior design or working with buyers or working with sellers, what your score on your exam was. If you don't have someone to work with, none of that's going to come into play, right? You have to be prospecting. You have to find your opportunities, and you have to turn those opportunities into appointments. So, Mateo, kudos to you, man. Good luck tomorrow on that. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to me or whoever else. But any questions today? We got to an hour pretty quick. Any questions, or anyone want to comment it or talk about anything else?
You said you're gonna email that questionnaire.
Yes, the buyer questionnaire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll shoot that over. Anyone else? Everyone else ready to rock and roll this week? Big real estate stuff going on. Anybody else meeting with clients today or this week? No, I think some people are on some mute, but all right. Well, if no one has anything else, appreciate you guys jumping on today. We will do it again on next week. Next week is Halloween. I'll have to check and see if we do it. Yeah, I'm telling you, big Halloween guy.
Yeah. Just gonna be doing some stuff over the weekend, so yeah, I'm ready for it. Got my costume ready.
Nice. Can you share what you're gonna be, or is it not?
I mean, on Friday, I'm definitely thinking of going up to Beer Garden, just like painting my face, something chill. And then Saturday, I'm going to a party. I'm gonna be a SWAT officer. I got like the vest, like camouflage pants, and like this little like plastic gun. It's pretty nice.
I have a SWAT outfit that I wore probably 10 years ago. It's people were coming up to me thinking that I was working at the it was like official looking. I was all decked out. And then I did the same thing as you. I went out Friday night, full decked out. The next night I went out as a SWAT female, and I had a wig on, and that was a little bit more fun. Wig and a skirt on. So that was a little bit more fun. Didn't get asked as many serious questions that night, but I'm a big Halloween fan. I will be the Tin Man this year with my with my son. So all right, everyone. Again, you guys all have my personal cell phone. It's in my signature. Feel free, if you guys want to chit chat during the week, don't hesitate to reach out. If not, then I will see you guys all next Monday. Later.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.